Welcome to Align to Your Design. I'm your host, Beth Davis. Isn't it time to wrap your business around your purpose and bring your greatest work to the world? Each week, join me as we explore various biometric tools such as human design and hand analysis and how to use them to fulfill your destiny and align to your design. We will reveal how to do the work you are designed to do rather than what you think you should do. You are listening and or watching the Align to Your Design podcast, where I interview people that I feel are living their purpose and sharing their gifts and are of great service to others. Now, typically I will share a human design chart, but today's going to be a nice short, sweet interview, maybe 25, 30 minutes. And we're going to talk about women and money and some of the mistakes that women make and what they can do about it. My guest today is Christine Lapidus. She is a financial advisor and financial professional with Pacific Advisors in Beverly Hills, California. Originally a small business owner from New York, she came to Southern California by way of Fort Myers, Florida, providing her with years of experience in the retirement capital of the country. Her practice focuses on financial literacy, wealth building, and retirement maximization. Christine's special passion is teaching women of all ages to be part of this process and protecting her clients, their families, and their businesses from the many forces threatening their secure future. Her children are millennials and have inspired her to help that generation create a successful financial future for themselves. What Christine wants for all of her clients is summed up in the Pacific Advisors mission statement: a good life for the rest of your life. And with that, let's bring on the wonderful, thoughtful, caring, and beautiful Christine Lapidus. Welcome, welcome to Align to Your Design. So lovely to be with you today. Hi.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me. I am so delighted to be here. You know, it's such a wonderful gift for me, to be able to talk about something that I do as a living, but that I love, that I really love because I see the benefits and how it helps people. And it's wonderful. I wish for everyone out there for you to be doing what it is that you love, because it makes a tremendous difference in your life.
It really does. It's
Yes.
everything. It's everything. I said to my team today, I said, I don't want to work with anyone anymore who isn't thinking about their purpose and sharing their gifts every day. It's just too draining.
It is too draining. And, it makes it such an easy, I don't know, it just puts when you're working with somebody, puts the other person at ease, makes you feel terrific. And, you're not so much worried about whatever the outcome is going to be. You just trust that you're doing something that gives benefit to others.
That's right.
I think that's really the most important thing. It's, we need to watch out for our fellow man.
Yes, we do.
We really do. So,
yes.
And I'm
fellow woman.
Yes, and our fellow women.
All the people.
That's what everyone. I have a very good friend in New York that instead of saying amen, she says a women. So, the first time I saw that, I said, what? Oh, and then I got it. It's like, amen. No, it's a women.
Yeah, A to us all. Well, women includes men in it. That's what I love about it. And hey, we all start out as women in the beginning anyways. So Christine, why do women need financial guidance? Why?
I have found in my years of doing this that, women, for whatever the reason, have a fear, are embarrassed about talking about money because, it was never something that they believed they knew about, or, they would leave it to their parents or their father, or if they were in a relationship, to the other person in the relationship. and I've really seen the devastating damage done to women who don't know,
Hmm.
and a lot of it is just because they're afraid.
Right,
They're
right, right.
really afraid.
Yeah, I think fear is one of the biggest issues really in every part of life that derails people. The and there's nothing wrong with fear, but to me fear is meant to inspire investigation. And through that
Right.
investigation, you become educated, which allays your fears, provided you take action on what you've investigated. And that's where you come in as a shortcut because
Right.
this is your background. So before I ask you some more questions about women and money, I want to have you share a bit with the audience about yourself because you have such a great business story. So will you share with everyone what your professional life was like in New York and then
Okay.
why you went to Florida? Three-part question. Professional life in New York, why you went to New York, and then the profession you built up in Florida before you moved to Los Angeles.
Okay. So, I graduated college with a degree in French. And when I graduated, I said, what the heck am I going to do with this? And I will tell you that the reason I majored in French so I could spend my junior year abroad in Paris,
Well,
which
hey.
I did. But I graduated with absolutely no desire to be a teacher, not knowing enough French to be a translator at the UN. So I got involved in the fashion industry,
Cool.
and with a division of a shoe company that had opened up a clothing division. And I just started off in retail as a buyer, bought dresses, bought coats, bought sportswear. Then at one point in my career, I made the shift to the manufacturing end of the business where money was greater, responsibilities were greater. And I was fortunate enough to work for a gentleman who taught me everything I know about the industry
Wow.
which was just so beautiful, from being a good salesperson. And by that, I mean not being salesy, being who you
Right.
are,
Right.
to how a garment is made, how to price a garment. And I was in that industry for about 20 years, and I lived in Manhattan. And, I'm the kind of person that when I start to see a shift in industries in life, my husband and I decided, and our two children, that we were ready to leave New York City. We had been there, we'd done that. So through a number of different circumstances that happened, we ended up moving to the west coast of Florida, where my sister is. And both of us having been entrepreneurs, we decided that because I had eventually owned my own business in the fashion industry, that we would open up educational toy stores. So
Oh,
I owned educational toy stores for about 13 years in Florida and absolutely loved it, until it got to the point where I was working in retail 7 days a week, 14-hour days, and I
mm,
finally said, I'm done. I'm done. And a very dear friend of mine owned a financial services company. And he said, Chris, you're terrific. You've got a great personality. Come work for me. And I just burst out laughing. I said, finance? I said, I majored in French. I went to Paris. I was in the fashion industry. I owned toy stores. I said, where do you come off, thinking that I can do this? And he laughed and he said, Chris, when you're in your own business, you do finances every day.
that's true.
And, I realized, well, he's got a point. And, what I loved the most about it was that the way I did it, I wasn't there to sell somebody something. I was there to take a look at their total financial picture, everything that touches their financial life, whether I get involved in it or not. Because if you make a decision to buy something, buy furniture, buy a car, it's going to affect
Hmm.
everything else in your financial life.
Right.
So
Right.
I knew that, it was important for me to take what I call a holistic approach to financial planning. And in the course of my doing that and, really distinguishing the way I did business, that it wasn't selling somebody something, I came across working with a lot of women and working with women who, I can tell you some stories. A woman called me once that I knew just very peripherally, and hysterical crying. And I said, "What's the matter?" She said, "Very unexpectedly, my husband asked me for a divorce."
Oh,
So I sat with her and I said, but, before we sit down and, do anything with finances, let me recommend a divorce attorney. And when I mentioned the word finance, she broke into tears again. And she said, "I have no idea what we have.
wow.
All I know is that I had a credit card. I could buy whatever I want. And that's it. I have no idea how much our house is worth. I have no idea about, and I started to ask her, what about retirement? I don't know. What about investments? I don't know. What about savings? I don't know." So I started to see that more and more. And it really bothered me, because what I saw was we as women work so hard and strive in the business world to leave a footprint.
Right.
It's something, and we have to work harder to do that. And if we don't know about the financial part of our life, that just makes it that much more difficult. It,
Yes.
it really does. And
Yeah.
so I started to just, take my business and concentrate a lot on working with women. And then when I moved to California, to be near my children. They're both millennials. They both work in the entertainment industry. And again, because my husband and I are, we're adventuresome. We're not afraid to make moves, to try something new. And when I got here, I also discovered that millennials need a lot of help.
Mm-hmm.
They were not brought up with financial education.
No.
And, and I have to tell you a very funny story, because stories really, give you an idea of how this works. I was working with a couple, helping them with retirement. And they said to me, "We have a daughter in her 30s who just received a settlement. And we're really concerned that she's going to blow right through it." So I said, "Great, let me call her." For 6 months, Beth, I called, I emailed, and she just wouldn't respond.
Right.
Finally, one day she calls me back and she says, "Okay, we can meet for lunch."
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Great." And as we're sitting there talking, I realized that she had this tremendous fear. So me thinking that I'm going to try to make her feel comfortable, allay her fears, I said to her, "I realize that I am asking you to financially undress in front of me, and that's not easy." And, Beth, she looked at me right in the eyes and she said, "Chris, I would prefer to take my clothes off than to financially undress."
Same for me. I think most of us feel that way. I'd rather walk naked in the street. Not so much now, but when I was in that position, I've been there. I had that same thing happen years ago with a financial planner. I cried through the whole thing. I had so much shame,
Yes,
so much
shame.
shame that I should have, done more with my money. Had I saved all my holiday money and invested it, I'd be retired by 30, and I blew through it and I mismanaged it and I overspent, and I underspent. It was just horrible, the feeling. So anyway, go on.
Yeah. So at one point I looked at her and I said, "We're in a restaurant. Please don't take your clothes off." But we were able to laugh about it. And, she's become a client. But, it really showed me that it's fear and embarrassment.
Yes.
And a big thing I tell the women that I work with, and everyone actually that I work with, is, what you did yesterday, I cannot undo, and neither can you. All we can do is work going forward. and learn from the mistakes of the
Yep.
past. But, it's what we're going to do today and tomorrow that's going to make the difference. So to be embarrassed and ashamed, I said, you can have that feeling, but you need to let it go.
Yeah, really, truly. And go ahead.
Because, my question then becomes, does that feeling serve you? Is it doing you any good? And of course, the answer is usually no.
That's so powerful. So, what are some of the gender differences in dealing with finances that you've noticed?
When it's so interesting because men, when I work with them, they want to know, okay, what investment can I get into? And is it going to make me 20%?
What's the return? What's the return?
Yeah, what's the return?
They're very efficient. Men are very efficient, aren't they? Yeah, very efficient.
Yeah, all they care about is the rate of return, and when I tell them, I said, the stock market in the last 30, 40 years has averaged a little under 8%. They say, oh, well, no, I want better than that. You have to do better. And I said, I can't guarantee you better. So men want to know about rate of return. Women, on the other hand, want to have a plan.
Yeah.
They want to plan because, and I tell everyone, the truth is people don't plan to fail. They fail to plan. And if you don't plan, trust me, chances are high you're going to fail. So women really look at it from, I guess, a much more objective view and a view of, teach me, educate me. That's the other thing.
Right.
They want to be educated, whereas men think they know it all.
That's right.
And, they, even if they don't, they come across as, well, I know that this is what I should be able to get, and this is what I can do. Whereas, women want to be educated. Men do not, because they feel that they know it all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, so women are much more, they're much more organized about it, and they are willing to listen.
Yeah, that's very
the
true.
Other thing. Men, they really don't want to hear. It's like they're coming to, they come to me as a financial advisor, but they want to tell me what they want to do.
They're mansplaining.
That's right. So at one point I say, what is it you want me to do?
Right. Why are you here?
Why am I sitting here?
So
how can I help you?
What are some of the money personalities you come across?
There are so many. There is, number one, the money spender. And that's the person that, I once worked with a young woman who said, because the first thing I really talk about are people's goals. It doesn't matter to me in the beginning how much money you have or anything. So she said, my goal is to have a Ferrari and, to be able to make $500,000 a year. And she was 32, make $500,000 a year and go on the best vacations.
Okay.
So, and boy, she was spending her money just like that. It was she spent her money. Then you have the opposite end of the extreme where you have the money hoarder.
Yep.
And just like people that hoard things, people that hoard money are so miserable.
Oh, they are.
Because they, all they think about is, I've got to save, or I've got to put it aside. I can't spend it. Oh my gosh, how much is that going to cost?
And they're cheap too. They're
cheap.
They're not generous tippers.
No, they're not. And they really become penny wise and pound foolish.
Yeah, they're like Scrooge.
They really are. And, that doesn't work either. And, to really illustrate that even better, I was working with a client who had paid off all her debt, and she had money left at the end of the month. And we were working on, how do you want to allocate this money? So we sat down with a plan and said, some in emergency savings, some for retirement, some for travel, and some me money. And I said, great. So we came up with a plan. And a week later, she calls me up because she was working for herself. And she said, I don't know if I'm going to have such a good year next year. I think we need to scale back a little. I said, great. So, and she looks at me and she says, I know you're going to tell me that I should scale back money for me. I said, absolutely not. I said, that's the last thing that should go. So the client, so she said to me, I know you're going to ask me to, cut back on my me money. And I said, absolutely not. I said, because if you have a budget or if you're working with your cash flow and you cannot have fun, you cannot go out to eat, you can't go to a movie. I said, this plan is going to go out the window in a week. I said, and that's not our goal. I said, my goal is not to have, is for you to enjoy life. So there's a way to do it, not hoarding the money and not spending it.
Right.
It's that spender in between, the one who is able, to realize that if it's planned, I can do everything that I want. You might not be able to do it to the extent that you want, but you can still do it.
Right. Right. That's great. And so we have the spender, the hoarder. Are there other types?
Well, then there's the person that, will sit there and they'll say, well, I want to give as much of my money away. And
the charity person.
Right. I said, that's very noble. And so my question will be, do you have money saved? Do you have any emergency money? Oh, no. But, I trust that it will be provided. And I said, you know what? I understand that faith. I understand. I said, but the reality is, it would be great for you to have planned for something in your life in addition to giving to charity. And I said, you can really give to charity, not just with your money, but volunteering your time. I said, you cannot, not do it yourself.
That's right.
So, so there is that person too. And, it's this whole thing about money is important to get to a happy medium, not to be spend too much and not to spend enough, and then not to just, give most of it away.
Right.
It's really finding what your balance is and keeping, like I said, the goals in mind of what it is that you want to do.
Right. Right. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, in addition to women having shame about finances, what are some of their fears?
The number one fear today for women and everyone is running out of money in retirement.
Running out of money in retirement.
Running out of money in retirement because, we're all living so much longer that is, that's a fear. And that's where planning versus not planning comes in.
Right. And also, it's interesting too, in the life purpose work I do, the average lifespan is meant to be 84 years. Any years before, after 84 are bonus years, really. It means you took care of your body if you're not senile or whatever. And the idea of retirement is really outmoded, I think. I mean, we're really designed to work to the very end, provided we're doing work we like, right? Like, I don't plan on retiring. I just am planning on doing other things.
Right.
And by the same token, having that safety net is a really nice thing. Like, when I had the shame conversation, it was 2011 with my financial planner at that time. I put things in place that the money all this time has been on auto withdrawal going into these accounts. And I go, look at those accounts now. And I'm like, oh, look at that. And I didn't have to do anything. I didn't feel it. Right. But my fear was like, what do I decide? I mean, I want to make the right choice. And then I kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off because of the shame. So so not having money in retirement. So I have a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
About this so that people can reach out to you. So how does one get started? Or if you're already started, we can talk about improving it. But my first question is, how does one get started?
You get started by truly deciding that you are important and you are important enough to tackle something that you might be afraid of. and do it. You know,
Mhm.
it just do it. You know, and the way I start with my clients too, it's like I don't start with questions about, oh, how much money do you have? How much money you make? Because that's stressful.
Right.
You know, my goal is, okay, what do you want out of life? What are you working towards? Why are you working? What keeps you up at night? What
Mhm.
wakes you up at 2 in the morning? You know, know what your goals are, have your goals set, because once you do that, it makes working on your finances so much easier.
Yeah,
It,
it's very true.
it really does. It's because all of, you know, it's like when I'm working with someone and they say, you know, and because one of the big things I do too is I go through a cash flow summary.
Right,
Okay, how
right.
much money are you spending? You know, and when, let's say all of a sudden they're spending $1,000 a month on going out to eat. Again, I don't judge.
Easy to do.
That's right. Easy to do. And, you know, I tell them at the end, I said, okay, you want to save money. Where would you save it? It can't come from me. It has to come from them. You know, if they say, yes, I know I'm going out to dinner too much. And, you know, and I said, well, if you want to attain this goal of, let's say, buying a
Mhm.
house.
Mhm.
So when you want to go out for that dinner, what is it you want more?
That's right.
I said, that's your choice. It's, you know,
Right.
we all have choices in life that we can make to attain where it is that we want to be. So, you know, like I said, I facilitate, you know, the decisions are made, you know, by my clients, but, you know, I kind of guide them along the path. And, you know, the first thing is to just pick up the phone, whether it's me or someone else, and, you know, say, I want, you know, I want to know about money. I want to know how it works. You know, if you're not feeling well, you don't, you know, it's not the best idea to diagnose it yourself. You go to a doctor.
Right, right, right.
You don't know about money. You don't try and do it yourself.
That's
Go to
right.
somebody that knows. Go to
That's right.
somebody that has experience. It's really
Mhm.
the same thing. And, you know, and because it's, you know, they feel they're going to be judged. And the thing to remember is, first of all, what do you care? What do you care? You're there to help yourself, for you to have a better today and a better tomorrow.
Right.
So the thing is that, you know, to understand that there is help out there, you just have to want it. You just have to want
Yeah.
that help.
Yeah. That's so great. So, how does someone work with you? What is that process?
The process really starts where, you know, the first meeting that I have with my clients is really, you know, finding out who they are.
Right.
Who are you? What are your goals? And, you know, if there's time, we'll get into a short fact finding session. But, you know, then the next meeting really comes, okay, now let me know more about you, you know, date of birth, where were you born, how much money do you have, were you working, you know, are you not working? Go through a cash flow summary. And then once I get an idea of their goals,
Mhm.
what they have, you know, I sit down, and usually with a partner, because I'm smart enough to know I don't know everything. So I have a lot of partners I work with, and come up with some possible plans, some scenarios. Well, you know, you have this option and you have option B, or you can take option C.
Mhm.
And again, educate my clients enough so that they feel comfortable making the decision.
Oh, that's just wonderful. It's so wonderful. So how can people reach out to you? And I'll also put the contact information for you in the notes for the show. But how can people reach out to you to have a conversation with you?
All you do is you can email me at the
Okay.
email address that you'll see, or pick up
Yes.
the phone. I answer my phone.
Great.
You know,
Great.
unless I know for sure it's, you know, it's a telemarketer or a scam call, I answer all my calls. And, you know, the first thing will be to just set up some time to talk.
Terrific. Terrific. Well,
That
why don't you spell out your email address for
Sure.
everyone listening, and also give out your number, and we'll also make sure it's in the notes.
Okay, so my email address, I'll say it first, is Christine _Lapidus at pacificadvisors.com. So that's CHRISTINE_Lapidus. That's L as in Larry, A, P as in Peter, I, D as in David, U, S as in Sam, advisors, Chris Lapidus at pacificadvisors.com.
So it's Christine
Underscore
_Lapidus
Lapidus
at pacificadvisors.com. And what's your phone number?
818-920-8395. Again, 818-920-8395.
Okay, 818-920-8395.
Correct.
Terrific. And I apologize for saying your last name incorrectly at the beginning of the
Oh,
show.
that's okay. That's all right. It's a way people say it too, because they think of the French designer Ted Lapidus.
Right. Yes. And it's Lapidus.
Yes.
So what are your final words of wisdom for our audience?
Don't be afraid. Don't let your fear immobilize you. It is really, you will get such tremendous satisfaction in just starting the process. I compare it to, when you go on a diet, you haven't lost a pound, but the first day you feel terrific because you're doing something. And it's the same thing here. Don't be afraid. Don't be embarrassed. It doesn't matter. What matters is you, and you're getting your financial life in order and organized.
Right.
That's the other thing. People have so many things in different places. They might have a retirement account here, another account here, insurance there, because I do insurance as well, life, health, disability. And I help organize everything in one place so that people aren't scattered. So they feel like they are organized and everything is in one place.
Oh, so phenomenal. So great. Well, you and I are going to be having a conversation because my stuff is scattered all over. At least I have stuff now to have scattered, but I would like in one place.
Yes.
I want to share with you before we wrap up, I had an epiphany listening to you today. And it may not sound that dramatic when I say it, but it's big for me, which is that when we're really clear about our goals, and our goals are really not so much, I'm not about realistic goals. I don't know what that means, but goals that are authentic to the person. Your authentic goals, the goals that are true for you, really dictate how to shape your finances. Yes. And I think I was going about it the other way, like, I have to fix my finances, like it was this separate thing over here, versus the financial structure will naturally flow out of and evolve from me being clear about, do I want to rent? Do I want to own? Do I collect cars or do I buy horses? Am I into makeup or travel or a Ferrari? Like, what are the goals? It might be, I'm kind of a minimalist. So I love owning property and having stock and all those things, but I'm not really interested in taking care of stuff. That doesn't interest me. Whereas some, Jay Leno's got a, 22, he's got a 22 car garage, right? And I remember years ago, one of my coaches saying, it's good if you have like 3 things you're really into, and that's where your me money's going to go. Whatever those 3 things are you're really into. And I heard that then, but as I listened to you today, I think I'm going to spend the next few days getting even clearer about my goals on a life scale, because I can see how that's going to inform and better support me in my money choices. Because when I go to spend money on a pair of shoes that I'm like, or a trip or whatever it might be, I can check in and go, does this purchase or investment align with my authentic goals?
That's right. Oh, so perfectly said. It is, it's really true, because the goals mean everything.
Everything.
They really mean everything.
Your life, your decisions.
And it makes how you deal with your money so much easier.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like, it's out there on paper,
That's right.
And every meeting I have with my clients, we go over the goals, because sometimes they change. It's like, okay, these were your goals a month ago. Are they still your goals? Or if we meet after a year, have things changed?
Right.
because, you know, we change. There are
We do.
different things we want, or we've achieved some goals, and, you know, we're ready for another one.
Wonderful.
So that's great,
Wonderful.
Beth.
Yeah, well, thank you again. And for everyone listening or watching, I invite you reach out to Christine. It's totally free. Have a
Totally
strategy
free.
session with her, release your financial shame, and put a plan in place, because a bad plan is better than no plan. And Christine will give you an excellent plan that is
Oh,
simple and manageable and on auto repeat. If you want to reach out to her, it's Christine_Lapidus, Lapidus at pacificadvisors.com, or give her a call at 818-920-8395. Thank you again, Christine.
thank you, Beth, for the opportunity. I loved it. I love talking about this, and I'm here to help.
Well, you're wonderful to talk with. You're a fascinating person. I've loved you from the first minute I met you.
Thank you.
And we finally got this interview in the
We
books
did.
after, I don't know, 2 years of trying to make it happen, all in
Yes.
perfect timing. And thank you again. You're such a wonderful resource. And I know you, for anyone who reaches out to you, you're going to be a tremendous healing and support to them. So thank you.
Thank you so
so much.
much, Beth. I appreciate that.
You're
Have a
welcome.
wonderful day.
You too. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for being on Align to Your Design, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Align to Your Design. If you did, please grab my free report, Business by Design, at yourpurpose.com, and then join our Facebook group, Align to Your Design. See you next time.